Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Life is still beautiful. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. And I want you to get comfortable because today we are about to get real. You understand? No, for this episode, I want to talk about something that I feel like so many of us experience, but guess what, nobody really talks about it honestly. And it is the fact of us pretending we're okay when really we are not, right? I mean, like, seriously, when did pretending become normal? When did we all become so good at saying I'm fine when deep down we know that we're struggling, we are not okay? And I just want to be clear, I just want to lay it all out there. When I say struggling, I am not just talking about depression or something major, right? Because people believe that struggling means that something major has to happen. No, sometimes struggling looks like being mentally tired, emotionally drained, feeling stuck, feeling lost, smiling in people's faces but crying when you're alone. Listen, and this is a major one. This is something that even I do. We smile when people are around, but when we are alone in our little corner, we cry. This is not normal. This is not something that we should be normalizing. You understand? And so I think what inspired this episode is realizing that so many people are silently carrying things, going through life with a heavy burdens such as bills, relationship problems, parenting stress. The stress that comes from parenting alone is so much. Family pressure, career stress, experiencing disappointments, grief. So many of us feeling behind in a life, feeling as if we're not where we are supposed to be. And guess what? In spite of all of this, in spite of having all this on us, we somehow, we get up every day and we show up and we pretend that we are okay. So guess what? Today, let's have a real conversation. And you can always comment and leave your thoughts as well. We want to have a real conversation on just what has been happening, what we are going through and all of that. Right? So here's the thing. I think one of the biggest reasons we pretend we're okay is simply because life does not stop. Whether we are okay or not, it doesn't matter what we are going through. The fact of the matter is, life does not stop, right? And if we think about it, even when our heart is hurting, guess what? Even when we are not okay, even when we are going through trials and tribulations, struggles, obstacles, situations, sickness, whatever it is, guess what? The bills are still coming and still needs to be paid. The kids, if there are any in the picture, still needs attention. If you are employed or even own a business for yourself, work still expects you to show up. And so it doesn't matter what we are going through. The fact of the matter is responsibility still exists. Right? And so this is one of the biggest reasons why we pretend that we are okay, because life still demands our response. And sometimes you don't even get the time to process what you're feeling. You don't get the time to process what you're feeling, to process fully what you're going through, because at the end of the day, we are operating on a day-to-day basis in survival mode. Whenever we are going through whatever it is that we are facing because of the demands of life, we find that we are operating in survival mode. Survival mode automatically kicks in. You understand? And it's just crazy. And can we talk about being the strong person, quote unquote strong person, for a second? And notice I use we because I myself, I'm also doing this on a day-to-day basis, right? We often talk about the strong person being strong because at the end of the day, when we look at life, people really think strong people don't struggle. There are some of us who are of the notion that strong people don't experience struggle. And so if you are the dependable one, the helper, the problem solver, the one everybody calls when they need advice, people assume you are good, you are okay, nothing is going wrong in your life, you are not battling anything, you are just cool and collective and calm, everything is peachy fine over there, right? But what they don't realize is the fact that sometimes the strong one, the strong friend, the strong parent, that person is oftentimes the most exhausted. And believe it or not, this said person, strong person, majority of the time, if we take the time out to investigate, we find that this person, in most cases, are barely holding it together. These persons are normally going through so much. Listen, and I need us to understand that life be life in sometimes. And not because a person portrays themselves as being strong and responsible, it does not mean that they are not going through anything. It does not mean that they are not experiencing things. Listen, some of the time, they just want you blow upon them too hard and everything falls apart. Everything falls apart. And so, never assume that strong people are not going through anything, because most times they are the ones who are going through the most, right? So we have to be mindful on a day-to-day basis, right? Strong people need a shoulder to cry on as well, right? We don't understand that sometimes these people, they're barely holding it together. Sometimes the strongest people that we know are the ones who are silently breaking. And this is real, my people. Sometimes the strongest people that we know are the ones who are silently breaking. And that's something to pause and think about. And another thing that I find coming out too is the fact that social media, while it can be good at times, it really doesn't help in most cases either. You know, and there is this notion that everybody online looks happy. Right? When you go on social media, everybody's traveling, glowing up, getting engaged, buying houses, leveling up, and all these good things. And meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering if you are behind in life, because of all of these things that social media is showing and letting it look like, oh, everybody's living their best life. But let's be honest, social media is really just highlights of people's lives. In most cases, it's not reality. And what we need to understand is people don't always post the crying. They don't always post the anxiety. Yes, you'll have those one out of the few who are real and genuine, who will post the good and the bad and the ugly. But the reality is, they're not going to post the crying most of the time. They're not going to post the anxiety, the loneliness, the nights they stay awake worrying. Because the reality is, nobody's life is perfect. Right? Nobody's life is perfect. Now, here's an uncomfortable question that I want to ask. When we go through trauma, when we are going through our problems and our issues, right? The ones that we are pretending don't exist because life demands our response and life demands that we keep going in spite of. Are we actually healing or are we distracting ourselves? So when we pretend as if we are okay when we know we are not, are we healing or are we distracting ourselves? Because guess what? There is a difference. Some of us stay busy because we feel that if we slow down or if we take a minute to pause or to rest, it would cause us to start feeling everything that we are actually going through. And at that point, we would have to deal with it. And so by pretending that it does not exist or by putting it into the subconscious, we delay that specific response to it. And so we scroll all day. One, we overwork. In some cases, we jump from relationship to relationship. We stay busy helping everybody else. Don't somebody know that, right? Like, yeah, that hit a spot. We binge watch shows. And in some cases, yes, we gather with friends and we laugh and joke and try to keep ourselves occupied. But guess what? The second we are alone with our thoughts, everything hits us like a ton of bricks. All the thoughts, all the feelings, everything that we were trying to keep hidden when we are alone. And that is why we find that people will tell you that their pillow knows their misery because their pillows are soaked with their tears. Because it's not until they lay at nights on their bed that everything comes pouring in, and all that feeling and emotions that you spent all day trying to lock away comes at you all at once. And the fact of the matter is, I think a lot of us have really become good at functioning while hurting. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because at the end of the day, as I said before, it doesn't matter what we're going through, life still demands us to respond to our daily demands. And you can go to work while you're hurting. You can parent while you're hurting. Don't I know it? Mm-hmm. You can smile while you're hurting. You show up and show out for others while you're hurting. You support others 110% while you yourself is hurting. But what I also need us to understand is eventually unhealed things demands attention. We need to understand that the pain that we try so hard to ignore and to brush aside and to sweep under the carpet and to push into our subconscious, it does not disappear. My lovelies, it does not disappear. That pain waits. It waits on us. You understand? And the one thing that I've come to learn as well is the fact that avoiding your emotions, it doesn't heal them. When you avoid your emotions, when you avoid reacting, giving a specific thing or a specific situation the reaction that it requires, it does not heal what you're feeling or heal what you're going through. What it does, it delays it. So avoiding your emotion, it doesn't heal them. It just delays it. And so what we now come to find is that in order for us to truly heal, we have to face what it is that we're going through and face it head on. And sometimes healing is going to look ugly sometime. Let me tell you, listen to me, okay? Healing is going to look ugly sometimes. Because guess what? Sometimes it requires you crying. Hold on. Let me not use crying, because bawling, for those of us who understand, sometimes it requires us bawling. Yeah. Sometimes healing requires of us that we rest. We can't just be on the go. We're depleting ourselves when we do that. Sometimes healing requires that we set boundaries, because the people that we keep letting into our space are the ones who are causing us to be hurt over and over again. And so we find that in order for us to heal, we have to start setting boundaries. And one of the main things that pops up when we start to set boundaries is the fact that we have to start saying no. And this one hits deep for me, because I tend to be a yes person, and I always feel like I need to assist, and I always feel like saying no causes me to feel guilty and I'm doing an injustice to the person and all of these things. And so one of the major things that we need to do is start saying no. Another thing too is walking away. We have to know when it's time to walk away. Sometimes we stay in situations, we stay in rooms, we stay in things way longer than we were supposed to. And because of that, the healing process gets delayed over and over again. And sometimes healing requires that we pull back, go quiet for a minute, for a bit, just focus on you. Drown out the noise. Silence the noise that surrounds you. Go in your secret place and just focus on you. Just disappear for a bit. So yeah, healing is not going to always look pretty. It's not going to always look like, going on a vacation or to a gathering or a party, or no. Sometimes it requires for us to make some hard decisions. That's really the only way that we are going to stop pretending that we are okay when we are not okay. It really is. And so one of the things that I am now becoming comfortable with is admitting that I'm not okay. Because remember, I kept saying that I use the word we because I am in the same ship with you guys. Because trust me, one boat can't hold all the way because of what? Listen, a lot of us are doing it. So I use the word we because I'm included. And so I have been learning recently to admit when I'm asked the question to admit that I'm not okay. Because we have been so trained to be answering questions like, how are you? It is the quickest thing to say, oh, I'm fine, I'm okay. When deep down we really are not okay, And so can we normalize? Can we normalize saying I'm not okay? Because I don't know where along the line people made struggling look like a weakness. And quite frankly, I disagree with that completely. I disagree with that completely. I don't think saying I'm not okay and being vulnerable is a weakness. I think there's strength in honesty. And quite frankly, it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to admit that you're tired. It takes a lot of courage to admit that you're tired, that you're exhausted, that you feel like giving up. It takes a lot of courage to admit that to any person, To say to someone, you know what, I'm overwhelmed. To cry, to release all that builds up emotion that you've been trying so hard to hide. And so we go about our days wearing it's just a facade. Like nobody's seeing the real you. And the reality is, some of us have been carrying things for so long, that we don't even know what rest feels like anymore. And I'm going to say that again, so many of us have been carrying these burdens for so long that we don't even know what true rest, really feels like anymore. We've become so used to operating in the survival mode, that peace feels so unfamiliar. It feels like it's a strange thing. And you know what? If we can be honest, for even a second, I believe with everything within me that so many people who are listening to this podcast right now are tired. It may not be physically tired, but your soul is tired. And it's a kind of tired that sleep cannot fix. The kind of tired that I believe comes from just carrying too much for way too long. For way too long. Which brings me to my point, right? And I'm going to say this because I think this is one of the reasons why we carry so much burden. It's one of the reasons why we become so exhausted mentally. Right? I want you to hear this that I'm going to say right now. I want you to hear this today, and I want it to be cemented in you. You don't have to have everything figured out. And I'm going to repeat that, and I want you to jot it down somewhere where you will see it every day, because I want this to be a reminder to you. You don't have to have everything figured out. I mean, seriously, I think we pressure ourselves too much. We need to give ourselves grace. We need to give ourselves grace. We find people saying, oh, by a certain age, we think we should have the perfect job. We should have our finances together. We should be healed from whatever trauma. We should have healthy relationships. We talk about confidence and success and whatever success looks like to you. But the reality is, life does not always happen like that or how we have it planned out in our head. Sometimes it does not fit the timeline that we give ourselves. Sometimes life gets messy. Yes. And sometimes life requires for us to slow down a bit. And for a lot of us, if something major is not happening, we don't think that we are growing. But sometimes it is not the big leaps that we make, it is the tiny baby steps that we take on a day-to-day basis that will dictate our growth, that will measure our success. Right? And so, as I said that, I want to also add to it, everybody's success and healing period is different. And so my healing period might take longer than your healing period. And so we need to stop comparing ourselves, right? Stop comparing ourselves. Just because I might be ahead or you might be ahead, it does not mean that either of us are failing. It just means that we are human and our situations are unique, right? Everybody's situation is unique to that specific person. So as I said earlier, give yourself grace, learn to pat yourself on the shoulder, learn to celebrate the little wins because it's necessary. That is what gives you confidence. That is what gives you the strength to keep going. That's what gives you the motivation. Pat yourself on the shoulder, celebrate your little wins, one step at a time. It is important. It is okay to grow at your own pace. Do not look at anybody else's life. Do not look at anybody else. They have this saying that, me in my own lane. Yes, stick to your own lane. Right? Run your race. Go at your pace. And while you're doing that, give yourself grace. Okay, my lovelies, give yourself grace. Now, I have so much to say, but I am also being mindful of the time. And so before I end this episode, I just want to say this, right? If you've been carrying a lot lately, I just want you to know that I see you. And I'm with you. And I'm going through the same thing as well. If life has been heavy, if you've been smiling through pain, showing up for everybody while secretly struggling, I see you. We are in this ship together, as I said before. And I want you to hear me and hear me clearly when I say this. You do not have to carry everything alone. You do not have to carry everything alone. Right? There are others who are going through the same thing. We have a whole community. As a matter of fact, I am trying to build a community where we support each other because each one helps one. I am not supporting the motto that says, I don't need anybody, because we all need each other. At some point in time, everybody needs somebody. Okay? So you do not have to carry all these burdens alone. Right? So I want you, all those persons who are listening, all you, my listeners, I want you to take care of yourself. Rest when you need to. Ask for help when you need it. And cry if you need to. Healing is not weakness. Saying you're not okay is okay. Being honest about where you are isn't weakness. Listen, we are all human, right? We are all human. So I want you to take care of yourself, listen to that small, still voice, and give yourself grace. Okay? Now, if this episode spoke to you, I want you to send it to somebody who you think might need to hear it as well. Because trust me, I know that we are all going through stuff and we all need the support. And in the same breath, I want you to know that if you have ever felt pressure to pretend you're okay when you really weren't, you are not the only one. You are not the only one. And I want you guys to respond. I want you guys to send me a message, or you can comment. I'll be reading the comments and let me know, are you also going through this? Is it something that resonates with you? Is it something that you can identify with? Please respond in the chat. You can also send me a message and I will most definitely respond to you. All right. And I want y'all to remember, it doesn't matter what you're going through. Life is still beautiful and we are here for you. I am here for you as well. All right, my lovelies. I love y'all. Life is still beautiful. I'll see you guys in the next episode.